But today we're going to start our series of guest speakers. And we'll start off with Martha Weber, and she is the Director of Undergraduate Research. She's going to talk to you about all the opportunities that are available, especially for freshmen. We'd like to see all of you get involved with research. Then we have Jim Clark, who is the engineering librarian, and he's going to talk about the different resources that are available at the library and how you can access them. As a reminder, I'd like to let you know that this, as all our lectures are, being video recorded. Does anybody have any questions for me before we get started?
Hi, my name, as Bob said, is Martha Weber, and I am the Undergraduate Research Director here at the university for some of the sponsored programs that Miami offers to our students. I'm also a Miami graduate. Got my master's here in 2007. I'm not going to tell you how long ago that undergrad degree was, but my undergrad degree was in French, and my master's degree is in student development theory. So I know a little bit about how students learn and how they mature in their cognitive abilities as they go through school and through life. And so one of the reasons why Miami offers undergraduate research opportunities is because we want to give you enriched learning opportunities in which you can actually start to learn through experience. And you all know this. You know you learn through experience. You've been doing it all your life. So, for example, who's taken a trip this summer? Raise your hands. All right. Of the people with their hands up, who went alone? Leave your hands up if you went alone. Not very many people went alone. Now, why is that? Why would you not go on a trip alone? Because the fun's not there, the passion's not there, the joy's not there unless you've got someone to share that adventure with. And it's always more fun to go and say, did you see that? Did you learn that? Did you hear that? And then sit down and talk about how your day went and all the experiences that you had. My daughter came down last week for my birthday, and we could have just sat around the house and talked to the dogs, but she said, Mom, let's go down to the art museum. Let's look at the conservator down there who is working on the Van Gogh painting, taking off varnish, taking off a wax layer. Let's find out from this man what he does and how he does it and enjoy some art at the same time. It was a fabulous experience. And it would not have been anywhere near as fun unless you have someone else to go with you who's sitting there drooling over the Van Gogh going, that is so cool. You know, and so then we had lunch and went, oh, I never saw anything like that before. It was really, really fun to do it that way. So when you travel, you're going off on your own discovery. And that's the same thing you're doing here at Miami now. You're here, you're part of the Miami learning community, and you are now going to discover things about the areas that you're going to study, your major, or Miami Plan courses that everybody has to take. And so your entire journey now, from the time you came to Miami until you graduate, is about discovering things that you either want to know, or things about yourself, who you might be, who you might be becoming, who your friends are. You're going to learn to socialize, you're going to learn how to manage emotions, all sorts of things that you have to learn while you're here that's not listed in the course book. Dr. Hodge, our president, is very, very interested in students doing undergraduate research. So is Dr. Gempasa, our provost. And they know this is true because, as I said before, if you are doing inquiry-based learning, and we'll call that research, it means you're asking questions and trying to figure out something you don't know or something you want to know more about. For the most part, it's best if you do it in some kind of a group. And at Miami, that would be a class. And typically, in a class this large, that's a lecture class, you're going to have to interact with the instructor and the interactive stuff in here. But in your smaller classes, you get groups. And the groups have to figure out what they want to learn together and how they're going to go about doing that. There again, it's a journey. So Dr. Hodge's idea is called Student as Scholar. And he believes that by the time you leave Miami, you should be working at the level of being able to analyze and evaluate and then articulate what you think you know about something. Obviously, as first-year students, you may not have been demanded to do that in high school. Your teachers in high school may have asked you to memorize things and then tell them what you think you learned. There's a whole different level in high school unless you're taking AP classes. So there's some models, there are some theoretical models for all of these things, and we'll get into that a little tiny bit. But for now, what I want to do is show you Miami's undergraduate research page, the main page, And you can find it by going to Miami's homepage and then just typing in undergraduate research in the URL, and you get to this main page right here. And then you can see all sorts of interesting information on opportunities here. This here is a report that the communications office puts together, and you can look at it as a PDF file. It will show you actual research projects that some of the students did last year. It's quite interesting. You can get it from that link right there. Over here, you can see that Miami is now an enhanced institutional member of the Council on Undergraduate Research. There are links there for how you become a member of that organization. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And here we've got a document we're going to look at that will show you all of the things that are listed below here, these opportunities for research, without you having to click on each link. You can actually just go and get to this document, and we'll go through the opportunities, including the first-year research opportunity that Dr. Setlock mentioned. I want to point out that the College of Arts and Science has something called Behind the Red Brick. And if you go to this link, you can get directly there, and you can see videos of the students who have done undergraduate research in the College of Arts and Science. You can hear about them and about their research. And School of Engineering has one too. How cool is that? There they are, the SEAS Experience. And this is a really, really interesting site as well, because you can find out who's been doing research in the School of Engineering as a student, the kinds of things they do. You can look at videos. You can see who these students are. And by gum, if you think it's really interesting, you might try to find out if they're still here and then go ask them about it. You know, take them to lunch and say, how cool was that to do undergrad research? So all of these things are right here on Miami's website, so close to you. You can just click away and you're right there. So as the opportunity arises, investigate this website from School of Engineering. There's tons of information there. And investigate the Behind the Red Brick from the College of Arts and Science if you're in that area, and see what's going on over there, because there are lots of examples of student undergraduate research projects. So now we're going to go back up here and we're going to look at this document, Overview of Undergraduate Research Opportunities. And basically, this is a downloadable PDF, and it tells you, here's the URL that I was talking about, the website address. If you just go to that web address, Miami's homepage /undergrad research, you will get right here. And it's an overview of the idea that Miami is very involved in encouraging students to do inquiry-based learning. Your classes will demand it of you. You will be learning in groups. You will be learning by asking questions. And so you just need to embrace this as experiential ways to learn that will help you. The doctoral one here, this is for upper class students, typically only in the sciences where people are working with a grad student who is in a PhD granting department. And these students, it's one individual undergraduate who works with a grad student, and they do a project, and then they get money to take the project to a conference and present their project at a conference. And then this first-year research experience is the one Dr. Setlock was talking about, and we're going to talk about that now. So we're going to go back, and we're going to go to the actual document here. All right. So Miami's University's first-year research experience is a pilot program. It's in its third year. There are 4 coordinators of the program: myself, Martha Weber, Dr. Joyce Fernandez, who's in the zoology department, Dr. Michael Kennedy, who is in the chemistry department, and Linda Dixon, who is the head of the Ranilla Learning Center. And we are all focused on providing an opportunity for first-year students to actually do hands-on research in the lab or on a research project, if you're not in the sciences, with a faculty member. It's a year-long commitment. Students have to enroll in a course in common with the other students who are in the first-year research. We call it FIRE program. And they do first semester and they do second semester. And it pretty much explains on here why you might want to do this. It's because you're going to gain professional development, confidence, and experience by working with these faculty members one-on-one. You're going to go to their lab meetings, or you're going to work with them on their projects and start to understand research by doing research and watching them do research. We have students in any major working in some of these projects. We had a zoology student last year. She was a zoo major, and she was working with a faculty member who was doing a project in family studies and social work. So the zoology major was a pre-med major, And the study by the family studies professor was studying the spouses of people whose wives have lymphedema. They've got cancer, and therefore their limbs are swelling. And the family studies professor was interviewing the spouses of these people and trying to see what coping skills people have. What a terrific study for a pre-med student to get involved in, because she's going to develop the, like doctor-patient relationship by having to talk to these people and figure out what's going on in their lives when catastrophic illness is there. So you can actually do research in any area. It doesn't matter what your major is. So I encourage you to think about that. The FIRE program itself, if you are interested in getting into it, you do have to send me an email, and then I'll send you the information on how you enroll for the course and what's required. The program goals basically are right here. We want to connect you early on in your career with faculty. I can't tell you how many times students come to me as a junior and say, I wish I'd started sooner in undergrad research, because now all the labs are full. The people who are there, they've been there since first semester or second semester of their first year, or they started in sophomore year, and I'm a junior and I don't know how to get into the lab, because the faculty members are interested in working with students early on that they can train and keep with them on their projects. So even though this opportunity may not be for everybody, I encourage you to think about it. If you're going to do it, you want to start early in your career, figuring out who you might want to do the research with and how you would go about doing that. So we also want to develop a community of student scholars. That's one of the reasons the FIRE program was founded. And at the bottom of this document, we have all of the alumni. You can just scroll down and you can see all the students who have already participated in FIRE over the last couple of years. You can see the student name and you can see the faculty member's department. And we encourage you to talk to these students. If you're thinking about doing undergraduate research in one of these areas and you see a student name here and you're like, oh, that's my res advisor, or I think I've met that person in one of my classes or something, you could say, hey, how was that for you? Did you really enjoy that? A couple of the students who have joined this year told me they were referred by former FIRE students who have told them how much the opportunity changed their way of even thinking about learning. So I encourage you to think about whether this is a good strategy for you and take full advantage of it. Down at the bottom here, you can see one of the most important things you need to know about the undergraduate research in FIRE is, what does the faculty member do? You're in the class in common with the other students, and you're learning from myself and the other FIRE coordinators things you need to know about the resources at the university, things that you need to know about how you would articulate what you're learning. But from the faculty member who you find, and we help you find, you work in their lab, and then they teach you how to be a research assistant. They sometimes give you readings and things to do. They may give you an independent study form and sign you up for 1 credit hour of independent study in the fall and in the spring. They're supposed to meet with you regularly. Make sure that you are engaged in the research. Monitor what you're doing. Give you progress reports and set feedback. Everybody needs feedback. How are you going to know you're doing something in the way you should be doing unless someone goes, hey, let's talk about this aspect or that aspect. They evaluate your performance. That means they give you a grade for the independent study. Unless you're in the sciences, some of the sciences don't grade what they call lab work, and so you may get credit, no credit for that. So the faculty member is very important. There's 2 pieces to the FIRE program. There's the course in common where you're learning with the other students, and then there's the faculty member who is your guide, again, for the trip you're going to take, teaching yourself how to learn in an inquiry-based way. So this is a very, very, very interesting community. It's in its 3rd year. It's a pilot program, and we hope to continue it at the university. So that's the first-year research experience program. All right, and then the other ones that are listed on this document are for typically students who are upper-class students. Dr. Setlock is also the chair for the Miami Undergraduate Interdisciplinary Technology Development Challenge. And students form teams, and then they have some kind of a research project they do to create something. And they've got a topic, and that's listed on there. Last year, they were making smart apps for smartphones. One of the teams decided they were going to try to make an app that would let you know when your bus was coming right on your iPhone. It was very, very cool. And so that was quite interesting. We have an undergraduate research award program that you can submit to either in fall or in spring to try to get a little bit of money to support your research projects. Any discipline. You don't have to worry about what discipline you're in to apply to this undergraduate research program. And then the undergraduate summer scholar program is for sophomores and juniors to do a research project for 9 weeks during the summer. And you get 6 credit hours of tuition paid for, a $2,600 fellowship, and a $400 supply line. And that's very, very cool to do the summer scholars as well. So here we have links to the things we've already talked about, Behind the Red Brick, the SEAS experience, and the Council on Undergraduate Research. As I said, it's an opportunity for any of you, all of you, to join this if it's interesting to you. There is a free registry for undergraduate researchers once you get into your undergraduate research experiences and you want to list yourself somewhere. Grad schools pay money to find this place and go in here and find the students to invite to go to grad school. So that's the benefit for you. It's a professional development opportunity to be a member of CUR, and you can join as part of Miami's membership. You won't remember this, but next spring, in the middle of April, there will be an undergraduate research fair or forum, and it will be at Shriver Center, and students who have been doing undergraduate research this year will be presenting either a poster or an oral presentation, and it'll be a chance for you to come and see what the students have actually produced and hear them talk about their experiences. And you can see in the posters that they have there what kind of things they learned. So that's very exciting. It will be widely advertised, and you can come and enjoy that as well. So the other thing that I wanted to briefly touch on is Bloom's taxonomy. Can everybody see this? Yep. All right. Has anybody ever seen this before? This pyramid of Bloom's taxonomy? Nope. All right. Well, according to Mr. Bloom, human thinking skills can be broken down into categories, and at the bottom category is, as I said, typically in high school they will ask you to memorize things, and in your core courses you need to get the knowledge, you need the content, so that you can move on up this, cognitive pyramid using the content that you've learned. So there's the bottom of that, and then as you go up, the knowledge is remembering or recalling. Comprehension is then starting to grasp or understand what the materials might mean. And then as you get on up the pyramid, you start to apply the knowledge that you've got and the things you think you understand, you start to apply it to examples. And then you go on up the pyramid again, and they want you to start analyzing. And you have to break things down and say, what's the difference, and explain and compare and contrast. And then when you get to the top of the pyramid, that's where they want you to start going, oh, I think I know something about this. And then you realize that all knowledge is socially constructed and that people learn by talking to each other, by experimenting, by researching, and then they discuss what they think they know, and they come to some kind of an agreement based on a judgment they're making on things they've discovered. I was watching a program last night on fractal geometry, and it was amazing to me that the man who thought it up to begin with, everybody else thought he was nuts, and all the mathematicians wouldn't talk to him forever until he actually showed that you could use this theory he thought up to measure the coastlines of places. You could also, according to the Discovery Channel program, you could use it to measure how much carbon dioxide each rainforest is actually taking care of. It's just an amazing thing to think that he had this idea and no one wanted to believe him that it was going to work as a mathematical formula, and yet people had to decide for themselves, oh look, there is an application for this. So eventually they had to do a lot more of the stuff at that level. So what does Bloom's taxonomy look like in actual practice? We're going to go find out from the Pirates of the Caribbean what it looks like.
Parley! Parley. I invoke the right of parley. According to the code of the Brethren set down by the pirates Morgan and Bartholomew, you have to take me to your captain.
I know the code.
Adversary demands parley. You can do them no harm until the parley is complete.
Let's go. How far are you willing to go to save her?
I'd die for her.
Oh, good. Now, where is he? only got one shot, and we can't die. Don't do anything stupid.
You can't.
Yes, the ram is gone.
Why is the ram gone?
One, because it is a vile drink that turns even the most respectable men into complete scoundrels. Two, that signal is over 1,000 feet high. The entire Royal Navy is out looking for me. Do you really think that there is even the slightest chance that they won't see it?
Where's Elizabeth? She's safe, just like I promised. She's all set to marry Norrington, just like she promised. And you get to die for her, just like you promised. So we're all men of our word, really. Except for Elizabeth, who is, in fact, a woman.
Why aren't we doing what Mr. Sparrow said we should do? With the cannons and all.
Because it was Mr. Sparrow who said it.
You think he wasn't telling the truth?
Marines.
This is the path you chose, is it? After all, here's a blacksmith.
No. He's a pirate.
Yay! One of my favorite all-time movies. Yes, there's nobody like Johnny Depp. You can say the applications are in real life. I love the why is the rum gone as the evaluation part. So, yeah. So I really appreciate you giving me the time to talk to you today. And my office is in 102 Rowdebush Hall in the same suite as the graduate school. If you have any questions about any of the programs, come and see me or send me an email. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Am I loud? Yeah, I'm pretty loud. Okay. Well, I'm delighted to see all of you today. You're the first group of undergraduates I've spoken to this year. I am the only engineering librarian for Miami University, but you have an advantage. One of the schools I went to is one you've all heard of. I went to the University of Michigan, and when I went there, I learned all this cool stuff. And then I went to the automotive industry and worked in the auto industry for 10 years. And now I'm here at your service. And one of the things that you have an advantage for here at Miami is that you get one engineering librarian to help you. That doesn't sound like much, but let's look at things in perspective. At the University of Michigan, they have 8,000 students. They have over 300 professors, and they only have 4 librarians to help them. Here, we've got a little less than 1,000 students. We've got 44 professors in engineering and me. So I am here to help you. And you know, you probably went through most of your lives not knowing what a engineering librarian is, or even considering what a university engineering librarian does. You know, we're kind of like professors, but we're kind of not. So what do? Let me give you the one sentence answer. My job is to help you guys get A's in engineering classes. That's my job. So you come to me and I just help you get A's. And the way I help you get A's is when you have to do research for papers, you know, or you want to do some sort of extra assignment that the professors give you an opportunity to do. If you want to explore things like if you want to invent something while you're here, we can talk about patents in my office, that sort of thing. But most importantly, you're going to come and work with me when you deal with design projects. And so I'm going to talk today about library resources, what we have to offer for you. We're going to define engineering literature, what is it? We're talking a lot about project research. We're going to explore the catalog and database opportunities. We're not going to talk about RefWorks so much. I should have changed that. We're going to talk about a little bit about citation tools too, though. And then I'm just going to show you a few items that you can explore on your own, since I don't have computers all here for you to use. But you know, what do we offer you? We offer you virtually any kind of information you can think of, because we are a part of something called OhioLink. And OhioLink basically connects all the Ohio libraries together. So whatever Ohio State has, I can get you. Whatever Case Western Reserve in Cleveland has, I can get you. OU, University of Toledo, Bowling Green. If we don't have it, we just get it from them. And they in turn can get whatever they want from us. And we have these great databases that have engineering information from all over the world, and we can afford them because we all put money into a big pot in the state of Ohio, and so all these schools can have these great databases. And it's all accessible by you 24/7. And then yeah, we've got obviously what you're used to in libraries. We've got lots of journals and lots of books. We've got lots of computers. You can rent computers. We've got study rooms, so when you have group projects, you can come get a room. Our sole job is to help you, so whenever you talk to anyone in the library, doesn't matter who it is, our job's to be interrupted. We're waiting for you to interrupt us, so take advantage of that. And we do have some pretty good hours. It's not 24/7 like King, but it's pretty good. And you know what we really want you to focus on now that you're out of high school is when we want you to start moving towards using scholarly information. And if you're going to do any sort of research, you really want to focus on academic peer-reviewed materials. And I think in engineering, what that'll translate mostly to will be journal articles and patents. And you know, you can find something out about, say, biodiesel in Time magazine, and you can find the name of some cool inventor who's developed some new way to get more energy out of it. But you really want to go to the scholarly journal article to understand what the person did, what research he or she looked at to get that information. And then, of course, you want to look at things like the patents to figure out exactly what the person's doing. So it's getting to the scholarly information and getting away from just Googling or Yahoo. We want you to start using Google Scholar and a lot of these databases that I have to offer. This, you know, this is kind of just highlights all the kind of engineering literature we have to offer you. You know, it's monographs and series. Those are just different types of books. Conference papers. A lot of engineers, when they want to explain their new research, they just go to conferences. And all of you who will be engineers will belong to associations that have conferences for the rest of your professional lives. You know, we've got all sorts of product literature and standards. And imagine, you know, when you think about standards, imagine if I went and bought this USB down at the bookstore and it wouldn't fit. You know, the reason we have standards is so everything's uniform and that things work when they're produced in industry. And then, of course, there's lots and lots of websites, and we'll look at some today. And then all these databases, this is the stuff I was talking about related to OhioLink, you know, getting access to Compendex, IEEE Explorer, InSpec, ThomasNet. These are expensive databases, and it's available to you because you're students here at Miami, and because we have access to OhioLink. And so these are absolutely vital. But you know, one of the things that's difficult is when you're an engineering student, you know, you didn't come here so you write long papers and with the idea that necessarily you're going to write a dissertation and become a professor. Some of you will. But statistically, the stats say no matter what kind of engineering you study, you are going to go to the workplace. You're going to be professional engineers when you graduate from Miami. And you'll go right to work. And the reason undergraduate research is so important is because what are you going to put on your resume? You know, I just was dealing with a graduating senior, and they did a great job on their senior project, and you know, and they gave me the resume, and I did the right thing, which was to say, hey, take this to the Career Services Office. This isn't my job. But when I looked at it, you know, I said, wow, 4 summers of lifeguarding. How are you going to get hired as an engineer? So you went to Miami, so you got a good GPA. What sets you apart? You know, you have to do some projects. You have to take advantage of these research opportunities, and that's why it's so important. So when you go to that picnic, you know, I think it's on September 8th, you want to go around, and they're going to have booths with all sorts of student chapter associations, and you want to get involved because you want to say, I joined ASME, or I joined SAE, and I did some project, and here's what I did, and impress employers. It doesn't matter what kind of engineering, doesn't matter what kind of projects, but you have to do something credible that you can put on that resume, because you're going to work when you leave here, the vast majority of you. And so when you do research in engineering, basically what it comes down to is you're doing design projects. And you probably don't know what that means yet, but there's something called the 10-step design cycle. Sometimes there's 8 steps, but there's a design process. And your whole, the next 3 years will be focused on preparing for your senior year, which is a 1-project year. You will work on 1 project for 2 semesters, and it's going to be the biggest group project you've ever done in your entire life. And when you go off to work, it's the best thing you'll have to demonstrate to an employer that you know how to be an engineer. So you want to really do a good job on that. And typically what students like to do is, you know, you get so excited about all these technical skills you'll be learning in your classes that you'll want to jump to, hey, here's the problem, let's start thinking of a solution right away. What can we really do? You got to do the research first. You got to get to number 3. You know, you define your problem, you establish your goals to deal with that problem, and then you start doing your research. And when you do a good job with the research, you know, you're gonna be really successful. And you know, it's difficult to develop these skills without coming to me over the next 3 years, because each project is going to be different, and you need to have information from all these different types of sources. And so, you know, you guys probably don't know what a design project is, so I just wanted to give you a little idea. You're going to do a senior capstone. That's what I mean by your senior project. And this is just an example of a mechanical engineering one, where they basically had a group of guys here who basically were tasked with redoing a stair stretcher. They wanted to make it a better design that would have a better straps to keep the patient safe, and then find a way to make it better for the ambulance folks not to hurt their back when they're getting people up the stairs or down the stairs. Now, I don't know if you've sat down with your parents and looked at all the courses you can take, but if you're a mechanical engineer, one thing you'll find is that there's not a single class on emergency equipment design, not one. And so when these guys got this task, you know, and they said, okay, well, what you're going to do is your goals for this is you're going to motorize this, you know, so that people don't have to deal with the weight, and you're going to make better restraints. You know, that's great. But those boys sitting in the chair right there is the first time they ever saw it when they were at the beginning of their senior year. You know, and so the only way that they can deal with this is, yeah, they take all that cookbook knowledge you get from the textbooks in your classes, but they basically have to start doing research. And you know what these guys did was they set up a Google site, and they just put a little area in there for all the literature research they were doing, and then they started putting it into buckets. You know, they did scholarly literature, popular literature, commercial, patents, standards, and then they started reading. And you know, here's just one of the data dump areas where the students put a list of some of the articles they were looking at. And you know, they had never looked at an ergonomic article before in an ergonomic journal, but lo and behold, they exist. And they started doing things learning things that were helpful. Like one, they learned that if they looked for lead authors and all the literature that person has written, they could find more about the topic, because that kind of scholar is really invested in this sort of topic. And of course, they found an article right about dealing with EMS workers and lower back disorder, and they learned the term lower back disorder, and they were able to do things, you know, with every article, with every scholarly piece of information. There's usually something called an abstract. You just read one paragraph. If it's on target, you read the whole thing. If it's off target, you dismiss it. And then if it is valuable, you look at the key words like LBD, just some acronyms here, EMS, intervention, and what that does is it gives you great tools for doing more searches to find information that's right on target in these databases. Then you find product literature. They went and found some industry information and found the key competitor in the marketplace, and you could see how they could look at these charts and see how they were measuring success with dealing with lower back disorder. They found spec sheets, found every little piece of information they could about the product. Then they went and looked at the patent. And the patents are cool because just like the scholarly journal articles, they have abstracts. And they just did a search on the company that made these things. And then they found, they have these drawings in the patents, and every item on the product is identified and explained in the patent. So they literally knew how everything was put together. And they're just, I just circled some numbers here, and they're just listing everything so that when you read through this thing, it's tiresome reading, but when you're done, you know everything there is to know about the product. And then they went surfing on the web. This is just a cool little thing. They just went to a blog for firefighters, and they found out that someone actually had made a motorized stair stretcher. They didn't know that before. When the customer, which was the local fire department, asked them to do this, they didn't know. So they just went and looked on a blog, and they found something. And so they looked at, and they read the blog, and they found out there was a guy named Nate Walkingshaw who was the CEO of this company who had made it. And they went and searched his patent. And so now they know how to make his motorized stair stretcher. They know everything, and they haven't even started their design. And then they went onto YouTube, and they actually found the company's promo video that was made at a convention where they were basically just showing off their product. And they learned all sorts of great competitive intelligence. It weighs 500 pounds, so now they know that they have to make something lighter. It cost $5,000 in the marketplace to buy it. And then they found out that the Stryker company that makes most of these things didn't put it in the market. They bought the product, but they didn't actually put it in the marketplace because it was too expensive, and because you couldn't remove the motorized equipment on the bottom of it. So basically, they know they have all the, if they can get that motorized element off of it so that it can be used in case of a breakdown, and they can make it lighter, and they can make it less expensive, they probably have a product that would be unique to the marketplace and make them millionaires. So they had all this knowledge, and where does it start? It starts with doing kind of this research here with these databases that I was talking about. And these are three really good ones that are really important for engineers. And basically, they're very comprehensive. So quite literally, with these three databases, Compendix, IEEE, Explorer, and Inspec, you can do any kind of research you want. In other words, if you're a chemical engineer, take a look. If you're an electrical engineer, take a look. If you're a software engineer, take a look. You're probably going to find a lot of great information in all these, and it's very interdisciplinary. So using these kind of databases are super important. So let's take a look at the website. Okay, so I imagine that you all probably have seen the library website, but just in case, just want to make you know, if you go to the main website, there's just a link down at the bottom for libraries, and you click on it, and it brings you to the main interface. And this is the main interface of our catalog, but we've got a lot of cool stuff that you can use here. We've got this whole area tab here just for finding articles, and when you use the drop-down menus, it's no more sophisticated than the kind of drop-down menus you have with Google or Yahoo or Facebook or MySpace or anything like that. It's just like any other web page, really not too hard, but it gives you a way to search on whatever you want to look for. So if you're searching on Econ Lit, you can search there. If you're doing computers and sciences type research, you can search on this database. So really pretty easy. Then they bring in Google Scholar, and everyone knows Google. Google Scholar is interesting because what it does is it spiders to all of our databases. So basically, if you use Google Scholar, you can look at all of our databases at the same time. And then you can. So I'll just try something. So here I searched on biodiesel, and I didn't do very much in terms of a search here. I just typed in biodiesel, and I got over 100,000 hits. So I'm going to start needing to narrow things down. But it gets really pretty cool, and you can start narrowing things down really easily just with some of these drop-down menus. If I just said, well, I just want to do articles, no patents. Okay, that's great. And then if I want to do articles that are since 2011. I can do that. So I get the latest stuff. Now it's down to 5,000, and I can start narrowing it down even more. And and you've got these little links here like Advanced Scholar Search, and it's not too difficult to do. You just keep on bringing it down to putting in new terms. Maybe you'll learn an author that'll be important, and you'll search on everything that he or she's written about biodiesel. We'll just try something. So now I'm down to 56, and when you open these things, in some cases this one's really cool because it gives you full text, and then you can read right through the right through the abstract. I talked about that before with the patents and the article that we looked at in my PowerPoint presentation. Is it on target? Great. If it's not, get rid of it. If there's maybe you'll learn some terms in here that are going to be super value, like net present value, if you want to search on that, or if you want to learn about cash flow techniques related to biodiesel production. Or you can start building your searches like that. So it's really pretty easy to use these kind of tools. And then if there's articles that are not available in PDF, just by clicking on it, we've got these cool tools. Well, actually, we got lucky on this one too. I can just click on the PDF, and there I'm ready to go. But in certain cases, what you can do is you can look at OhioLink. We'll actually look at a different link to get to that. But pretty easy, huh? Just like searching for anything you've ever searched on your whole lives. It's just going to Google Scholar as opposed to Google. Okay. So if we don't have something in our library and you want it, you can just search in OhioLink. And what we do with that is it basically allows you to find everything that we have in OhioLink. And of course, there's over 307 returns on this, so you want to narrow it down. But what's cool is, guys, is that you can order this book and it's just sent here. You just basically click through, and if you want it, in this case, this is pretty cool. It's online. So you can just collect the electronic resource and you can start reading it at your computer at home. Whether it's on your smartphone or whether it's in your laptop, you just start reading it right there. Isn't that pretty cool? And that's pretty neat. You don't even have to go to the library for some of this stuff. So it's without having you play. Typically when I teach this course, I have you actually sitting in front of a computer, and I let you play with these databases, and I walk around and see how it's going, that sort of thing. This is a little hard to do with this in this format, but I think you get the idea. Things that are really important I want you to see. I talked a little bit about how you can come over for study rooms. Use the library to study. I mean, if nothing else, just say hi to me if you don't have an assignment that's needing my assistance, and then just reserve a room and just study there and get the work done. And you can just use this web interface to start. Just fill it out and you just request a room. You can request it at King. You can request it at the Best Library, any library on campus. We've got links here for interlibrary loan. That's an option. If we don't have it through OhioLink, generally we get it through interlibrary loan, which just gets it from whatever you need from anywhere in the world. If it's an article, they just send you a PDF. You never just you won't even have to go to the library for it. You just get an email that says, here's your article. You open it up, and there it is. You just read it. And people are literally paid to just, oh, he wants this article. Let's put it in the scanning bed. Let's make a PDF. Let's send it to the patron, and it's all done. So that's something important that you want to use. We've got computers that are available for you, Macs and PCs. We've got a computer lab over there at Best. And one of the things that's going to be really important to you is papers and things like that. We're not going to go through a demo fully today, but there's something called EndNote. You click on it, it's free, you just sign up. It takes about 2 minutes. And basically what it does is help you actually get a bibliography all set for your papers, that sort of thing. let's go back here. The other thing I want to show you is that we've got these course guides, subject guides, and if you search on just electrical, just see, we'll just go to E for engineering, and we'll look at electrical engineering. And I just wanted you to see that I've made, for all the different types of engineering that we offer here, I've made websites that ought to be helpful. And one of the things I do is that, if you want to find articles, you can just click on this and it takes you to a link of the most appropriate databases. And when I've talked a little bit about Compendex earlier, and with Compendex, you can just see this here right now. Just looks like any other website, no big deal, but what's cool about it is that it just has so many different types of ways you can narrow down your searches, and it's got such great information in it, and sometimes we'll have it and you'll get a direct access to a PDF. Sometimes we won't have it and you can get it through OhioLink or through interlibrary loan. And I think this is pretty easy for you to just go in and play, but it's just like any other website. It's not too much harder than using the advanced search for Google whenever you're doing that sort of thing. It's just the quality of the information is very high. Okay. I need to change that picture. Okay, so I'm in the building across the street called Laws Hall. We call it the Best Library. It stands for Business, Engineering, Science and Technology Library. I think that's the new name for it. We just opened it this fall. It's brand new. It used to be it's the old business building, and I am on the second floor. And my office is up on the side that's closest to Upham Hall. And come see me, and I'll help you get very good grades. The more you come see me, the better off you're going to be. Okay? So thank you, and have a great day.
All right, everybody. That's it for today. We have some handouts here if you're interested in more information about undergraduate research for freshmen. We have it right here. And the main point is, it doesn't matter what your major is, you can do research in any area you want. And I encourage all of you to please explore getting involved with undergraduate research. Have a good day.